A little off. Wave hi, Nancy. You're the only one on camera, so wave hi. It's probably Nancy that messed with the camera. It was probably you messing with the camera. Ready? Good evening and welcome to the Parks and Rec Committee meeting. It is 5:32 on September 4th. Can I get a call to order, please, Ms. Swain?
Mrs. Cooper?
Here.
Here. Here.
Three present.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion on the minutes from August 7th. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Neff. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Marty?
Abstain.
3 yeas, motion minutes passed.
First up on our agenda is our visitors section. Do we have any visitors this evening that would like to speak with the Parks Committee? Seeing none, we will move on to unfinished business where we have a J.R. Smith Park. This was discussed in our finance committee meeting last month, and then now we have a parks discussion.
Yes. They have it in their packets.
Oh.
So in your packet then is an updated rendering, an updated proposal or bid estimate, and then there's the complete plan. I don't know what packet page is. Am I looking at the right packet page? Starts on page 4, 5, and 6. So
Okay.
with that, maybe Dan will take it from there.
So on the, look first at the master plan, the coloring, the pretty colored one. That is the ultimate park layout that we've, over time come to. The cost for that is approximately $4.2 million. And as you're.
$4.2 million.
We just did everything all at once.
Would you put the mic in front of your mouth? Thanks.
You're welcome. $4.2 million. And that includes playground, splash pad, full parking lot, trails, trail connection, etc. I believe you're all familiar with that. I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that. But I think I know the objective tonight is to talk about how to get the project started through a phasing process. And so on your not so pretty layout of the J.R. Smith Park, we've looked at what we can do in that $1 to $1.8 million, or I should say $1.4 to $1.8 million, excuse me, range. And what this has is the pavilion, the restroom building, and some accessory features, including bathroom and mechanical room to prepare for the ultimate splash pad. It has a parking lot that accommodates 23 cars. and connector walks that go along with that. The entrance itself off of Cherry Street would be, built as per what the ultimate plan would be, probably with some curbing and a nice entrance feature and a, good entryway there that's safe and practical. Knowing, and I myself, often when I hit the trail with my bike, I'll come down here and I'll park at that area right in front of the existing entrance. And knowing that other people do that as well while I'm there, and I observe that, we try to accommodate some additional parking beyond those 23 spaces that are sort of further into the park. That's why you see that darker gray area hatched out and marked with, I'm not sure how many spaces there are there, but marked out with some spaces. We're not intending to do a full paving project there, but just maybe do a chip and seal to give it a nice looking temporary parking space for those people that want to go somewhere other than the J.R. Smith Park itself. And then doing the same thing, leaving that trail, that loop that goes around the outside of Smith Park intact to be used as a walking trail. It's I'm sure the condition it's in. It's not in great condition, but basically just do some minor repairs to that, fill any holes that are there. Not even intending to do chip and seal, but keep it in basically the condition it's in, but make sure it's safe. It does include a bioretention basin to accommodate the drainage for the site, or stormwater detention that will be required. Whether it goes in that spot or not is left to be seen, but somewhere near there. And it would be built, I would highly recommend it be built to accommodate the future phases, so you don't have to go back in and redig the pond. So that is a full phase portion of the project as well. What is not included in a $1.4 million project is the splash pad. That would cost approximately another $400,000 to put that splash pad in at this time with the first phase. So in essence, what is here is the phase one project, which with lessened parking, no splash pad, no playground. The trails aren't fully built out. The parking lot is diminished, so to speak. No connection to Ohio to Erie Trail. Basketball courts not included. And honestly, we left out most of the landscaping as well, thinking that could be done with staff and with different funding. It doesn't include the paver entry walkway, doesn't include the flagpole, so there's quite a bit that's left out. But at the same time, it accomplishes a first step toward getting this project to fruition.
So let me just add to that I did ask them to price out the splash pad as potentially an alternate. So if we can get comfortable at funding somewhere in the $1.4 million range, now keep in mind we have just a little over $1 million committed to the project right now. So we've got to find a way to get to the other 400,000 to basically accommodate phase one as described by Dan. But what I was saying is that I know there's a lot of interest in getting that splash pad in place as well. And so maybe when we go out to bid, one of the things we ask is not only bid the base project, but also bid the splash pad as well. And once we have a full sense of the range or the costs, council may make a different decision at that point and say, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm just making this up. Let's say it's $1.6 million in total if they were both pieces. We're ready to do 1.6. We've got to find that additional $600,000 and, here's some ways that we might be able to do that. So I just thought it would be more useful to council from a decision-making perspective to at least know what the contractor would charge us to do that addition. So that's the reason why, you'll see the splash pad on there, even though that hasn't always been contemplated as a scaled down version of phase one. And then we can also then talk just a little bit about the budgeting as well beyond that, but we can do that after maybe some questions about what you see in the packet.
The parking lot doesn't indicate any of the spaces that will be ADA, but I'm assuming you'll make them
Absolutely.
because we have to, but yeah,
Just,
okay.
just a cartoon,
Phase one will get us the
a sketch. How's that?
pavilion.
I'm sorry.
Phase one gets us the pavilion, additional parking, cleaning up the trail, the existing path that's already there. And I guess it does not get us the playground, but it gets us the infrastructure for the splash pad.
It puts in the mechanical room and some of that infrastructure would go in. And there's a lot of plumbing that goes along with that, a lot of pipes and pumps and such, but some of that would probably conduits honestly would go in to accommodate the future mechanical pieces and parts.
For the playground or for the splash pad?
The splash pad. This, the mechanical room for the splash pad is part of the pavilion building.
But no playground.
It does add in this white parking lot too, right? That's part of phase one also.
White parking lot, is that what you said? That's the parking lot that would be provided with the first phase. That's the 23 spaces, including handicap.
Daryl, in my experience on council, we haven't done a major park renovation, so I'm not sure how, when we go to bid on something like this, is there a company that's they would take on this entire project? And then they would find who they need to do all the different things? Cause I imagine the skill set to put one thing in might not be the same as another.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's likely what we would get. We'd get a general contractor who may have some subs that are helping them do parts of the project. Although we haven't done anything to this scale, what we did at the Reservoir Park in the $300-ish thousand range for park only related activities, it had some subs in that too, so.
And this phase, so this is just the phase one project cost that we're looking at.
Right. So then maybe just a little bit more on the budgeting piece then. So as I indicated, we have just a little over $1 million committed to the project. So that includes about $520,000 of ARPA funds that we're committing to the use. And then that's matched with $500,000 from the Land and Water Conservation Fund. I think that's the name of it, ODNR. Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Okay. So a couple of other things that we've put into the budget for next year, at least in the budget that you've seen. Again, this is still preliminary, so council may collectively make a different decision on this. So, but at the moment, we did try to show some programming money in the parks budget as well, because there are these odds and ends expenses that we were trying to do. Like supporting Source Point, the games on the square. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Or just any kind of, again, small scale programming stuff occurring on the site. So there's a little bit of that. That's not anything significant. We have put $50,000 into the budget for the Joint Recreation District study or whatever. And then we do have then a placeholder of $150,000 in capital funds for the park. So this is similar to what we had in the budget last year for the Reservoir project. But again, that project ended up being more than 150. But we had the park portion of that project. So we do have an additional capital expenditure in there. I mean, so if council decided that was the priority and they wanted to commit that capital funding and it stays through the budgeting process, that could be something that gets us again 1.1 closer to $1.2 million.
That's 150,000, you said?
150. And then the final thing I would add is that we've talked a little bit about the impact fees. And right now, our impact fee for Parks and Recreation has about $100,000 in them. That is, let me make sure I'm saying that right. So that's $100,000 anticipated funding for next year. So that's new builds. So if you look at our current impact fee structure, every new single family housing development pays $825 into a fund that can be used to increase the capacity of our parks and recreation system. So I think the way that we got to that is roughly about 150 single family housing developments each year, or single family housing units each year, times the 825. That's 125. So I think she just was being conservative with the $100,000 estimate. So there will be some additional impact fee money that comes in as well.
You're saying approximately $100,000 at the end of 2025?
Yeah, that's what she's got as, yes, as the revenue collections for 2025. Now, having said that, that assumes everything that's built is a single family unit. If it's a multifamily unit, that's a little less, $525 per unit. And the 150 is probably a little bit low because we did 120 multifamily units for the Sunbury Commerce Park apartments. And that was just done, I think, last month or so. So again, that's a really conservative estimate I think she's got in there with respect to the amount of funding that you might get from impact fees. Again, if you wanted the impact fees to be used for this purpose. So if you cobble all of that together, again, you're getting pretty close to 1.4 million. I'm not saying that you're all the way there, but you're probably pretty close to be able to, again, at least if nothing else, get close to bidding out this project to really see what the costs of doing phase one might look like. And then, like I said, if we get the alternate proposal on the splash pad, that can then be another conversation with council at that point. Now, having said that, it's not like we can go out and do a bid today. I mean, we still got to do detailed engineering.
Yeah, we're still in that phase of the engineers are looking at the site out there and all that.
We could move forward with design, but we don't know what we're designing quite yet.
Yeah, exactly. Amen. So yeah, what you've done the survey. We know we got a little bit of cleanup work there to do. We have not yet done the yeah. So yeah. So some of this is they need guidance in terms of what to design. So we're not spinning our wheels.
So we can see a way that we could possibly get to the 1.8 for phase one. Maybe.
I would say I can see a way to 1.4. I don't know if I see a way to 1.8
Okay.
without without a more explicit action of council, to basically enhance the budget for parks purposes.
Our last meeting, mayor spoke of maybe doing like, I may misspeak on this, like bonds against future revenue. Is that something?
Yeah, so that was the, and I need to check in with Dana on that. I don't know that, she and I haven't had a follow-up conversation on it, but the point there was, could we issue bonds and pledge future impact fees for the repayment of that? And I mean, that is a source. But it might be a little unpredictable. I mean, as the economy goes up and down and as housing developments accelerate and decelerate, I mean, if you're the lender, that might not look like a real stable source. I mean, it's a source, but it may not look like a real stable source for the purposes of borrowing. But
it's having the splash pads like the, at least you would think one of the main.
That is the playground.
One of the selling points.
Of that park, like, it would be nice to try to figure out a way to get, I know you can see the line sight division for the 1.4, but if we can figure out that remaining piece to try to work that, that's like.
Well, and that's why I feel like if we got a bid for the splash park, you know, it'll help council be able to make a decision as to whether or not you want to put in another 300,000 or what, again, whatever the number might be. Having said that, in order to get a bid on that, we're going to need to design the detailed design for that component as well. So we'll have a little bit more upfront costs for that portion of the project, but again, probably in my view, would be well worth it. The only reason, the only way that it might not be worth it is if we didn't think we were going to ultimately have a splash pad. And I think we're pretty committed to getting a splash pad.
Yeah, the early talk about the splash pad and the pickleball court were pretty extreme. And so, yeah.
Yeah, even under this scenario, we don't have the pickleball court.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying.
All right, well, I mean,
Water feature in Sunbury for residents would be nice.
Yeah.
well, I mean, you've heard it, so maybe digest that a little bit more. You know, I'll speak to the chair a little bit more about it. And just strategize, you know, what would be the best way to come back to this group and or council with a recommendation.
Or even the finance committee.
Or even the finance committee. Yes, sure.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Moving on to new business, we have the Big Nut Strut 5K petition in our packets. This has been through the events committee, staff, police, everyone has seen it. This event is an annual event that takes place at GRE and it runs through the Mills neighborhood, but they do not shut the streets down for it. And it's just coming up through parks because
It takes up GRE
GRE.
for that time period. Cause they do the registration one day and then they do the event the next day. So,
And they use the pavilion and
Yep.
they have
and
food
they-
trucks and other.
Yeah, and it's a large attendance.
Okay.
The actual Big Nut Strut itself through the neighborhoods is on the 13th.
Yes, it's on that Sunday, yeah.
In the future, I don't know if you guys do this, in the future, when we have event permit applications, if you're not already, would you invite them to like, let them know when our events meeting is and the parks meeting, if they like invite them to the events meeting and if they can't make it, because it's in the middle of the day, maybe invite them to the parks. It's not mandatory, but just an invitation to them so that we can talk over the permit and they know what we're expecting and we can ask any questions of them. And for any event permit, not just these folks. Even if they are an annual event that we have every year. Yeah, thank you. Just, I wanted to go back to JR just real quick. Mr. White, I remember having this conversation in parks before, but I don't remember who the engineer was, so it might have been you. But do you recall that down at JR right now, there's a couple trees that we have memorial plaques on? Because we've had this conversation, but I don't remember if you or we might want to loop in Carla maybe too to that. There's a couple of trees
Yes.
down there that have memorial plaques that we want to keep.
Okay.
And
No, I did
I
not.
can't, I was like, I don't know, might have been Mr. Hall, Mr. Parkinson, I don't remember who was here, but
Yeah, we've definitely talked about it. I remember the
Okay.
conversation. I went out and looked at them. I don't think they're in the way in terms of what gets redesigned, because I think they're kind of behind the the announcer stand.
They're behind where the bleachers used to
Yeah,
be.
exactly.
So.
But still, we need to be conscious of that.
Yeah, when we first started designing these, the engineer at the time was aware of that, so it doesn't look like they would be affected, but since I couldn't remember if Mr. White was the engineer at the time, I just wanted to make sure a note about those. Okay. Moving on, to the other parks business. We do not have Alyssa today. Do we have any other parks business?
We don't have Alyssa. She did leave me with a little update.
Okay.
She met with the Eagle Scouts, regarding Freedom Park. They discussed, that they were open to any project that they would like to, build maybe some picnic tables, footbridges, or, benches out there. They discussed that, and then she met with some 8th grade math teachers from the Bigwanaut Middle School in regards to setting up a math walk. It's kind of the same concept as a storybook trail, but they would take pictures of something within the community and overlay a math problem with that. I'm not quite sure how that would work. I wasn't there for the conversation, but it sounds fun. Well, you were here. Yeah. What did
Yeah.
we talk about?
No.
Cause her.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's exactly as she described. We did ask the math teachers, make sure that the administration at school was aware of what they were requesting. The middle school principal, is aware. We just wanted to make sure that the superintendent knew that this was being discussed as well. So that's sort of one thing. The other thing we agreed is that, we needed to think about what might be a good location for it. A lot of people kind of think about the square, but we try to, encourage maybe some of the other parks as well. Given the fact that we continue to have that loop around J.R. Smith Park, I mean, that might be the type of thing where you could have 1 or 2 math problems around that loop or something like that. They did indicate that they're looking to do, if this isn't stepping on your story here, maybe doing an annual competition with the 8th grade students to identify what the math problem is, and then they would go out and maybe get the image of the city image to kind of overlay the math problem on. So they're really trying to make it kind of a big event for the 8th grade math students, and maybe the top 3 or 4 are selected, and those are the ones that get displayed, and then they get changed out each year, that type of thing.
Would it be on like a stand, like
Yeah.
the storybook is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was one of the other things we talked about. What's the ongoing maintenance associated with something like that? What's the cost of those? I know Alyssa has started to do some research for the storybook trail concept, but I just want to make sure that they were thinking the same kind of stand. So they've started to do some preliminary research. They said they would be back with us on that soon. So
Yeah, if it looked similar to the storybook trail, that would
yeah.
be nice. Did the Eagle Scouts reach out to the city and say they wanted to do projects?
Yeah, so you may recall, I think the father of the Eagle Scout was here at a meeting.
Last month.
Was it last month?
Yep.
Wow. Seems longer than that. Anyway, yeah, he was here. His daughter is interested in doing it. She reached out and we met with her to talk about some projects. So,
Okay,
yeah.
he didn't speak
he did
in the
not.
meeting.
No.
Okay, that's why
No.
okay. So would it be for her Eagle Scout project, or this is just all the Eagle Scouts?
It would be for her Eagle Scout
So this
project.
is a specific Eagle Scout
Yes.
project?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so as Amber had indicated, I mean, those were some of the items we talked about. I think the next step was that the Eagle Scout candidate and Alyssa would maybe go out to Freedom Park, look around, try to talk through some of those options. One of the other things, I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, is that because we talked a little bit about maybe some more benches out at the reservoir as well, because we weren't able to fund those in the budget. Is that something that, she might be able to build? And she was saying that there's something that actually is a bench that then folds out into a picnic table. And I'm thinking, well, I sure as heck would love to see that. So anyway, so kind of kicking around the ideas. As Mr. Martin knows, I mean, they'll prepare a proposal submitted to us, and we'll still have a chance to kind of sort through what works for the city as well. So,
okay.
great idea.
And then the final update was the lawn games on the square. We started off with Jenga, tic-tac-toe, no, not tic-tac-toe, Connect Four, and ladder ball. We did see some people out there playing with them. Daryl picked them up, so,
Mhm.
but I drove by a couple of times. They were getting played with. They were moved around, so I know people were playing with them. So, some of the kids were playing with them after school, so I'm excited to see. The Connect Four was a hit. That
Was
was
it?
the biggest one
That
that
was
people
the
were
one you
playing
noticed the
with.
most?
Yeah, in the morning, we saw a couple playing the Jenga. We put it in the gazebo. And a couple were sitting down playing it, and then a grandpa and a grandson were sitting playing it. So it gives me something to watch out my window. But so far, so good, right?
Yeah, so they are, the games are currently down in the, they're downstairs on the first floor, so we'll get them back out. I guess we get them back out tomorrow. The reason we pulled them off the square was because of the event on Monday.
That makes sense.
But I mean, I think our thought was that we would put them out. I mean, I don't know that we want to necessarily pull them in and out, but unless you think that's the way to do it. Yeah, there definitely was some interaction, and I don't know, Murray, did you see some playing with it, or you just wish that they were available for you to?
That's why I came up to the square.
Murray wanted to meet downstairs over a game of Connect Four.
He's trying, no one took me up on the other. Yeah, no, driving by, I would see kids out there, I could see people out playing, you could see that they were obviously being used, because the Connect Four, like, had the chips, I guess, whatever you would call it, the pieces, moved all around all the time, so it was really nice to see. That's exactly what it's for, is, something for people to come up and have a little activity to do when they're sitting up there, so it's definitely, they're good, saw good things about it on Facebook.
I was gonna say, I think we almost induced our executive director to come out and play a game, so thank you.
I saw some families with little kids playing the Jenga. So I saw some families with the ladder ball too, so that's nice, because we're not driving by all the time, so but the few times we are, we're seeing folks use them, so that means probably they were being used more than we realized.
Yeah, so relatively modest expense. We have marked them with the city of Sunbury, so hopefully that will help encourage them to stay.
Is there any losses of pieces, or everything stayed,
No,
even from losses? Some small. Cool.
nope, they were all there.
It's a relatively inexpensive investment in our core and in our for our residents, so I'm glad it's working out. Anything else from staff?
Well, I didn't have this on the agenda, but if now we're talking about park updates, it'd probably be worth us beginning to have a conversation about lighting on the square for the holiday season. Oh, there you go. Perhaps Mr. Neff would like to pick up on that.
I guess I will pick up on that, although this wasn't planned.
Sure.
Yeah, since we were talking about that, but no, I think these lawn games are kind of an illustration of, what it means to the residency. It's a relatively modest expense. It got them up, they got to have fun up on the square, and Christmas lights definitely follow suit, make it not just isolated possibly to a tree, but maybe start spreading out the display over some multiple trees throughout, and possibly bring in maybe other activities that are winter related that people could do.
Amber, remind me, last year we invested in wreaths for the town hall and more lights for the tree, and ribbons or some sort of decoration for the tree. Did we do
So
tinsel or?
tinsel for the tree, wreaths for town hall, and then decorative garland for the doors that lit up for town hall, and then light up garland for the poles around
Okay.
town square.
Okay, so that was our investment last year. Okay, did we have any sort of build out of what we wanted to do the following year? And I know we talked about just adding on every year, but did we say anything specific about what we wanted to add on?
So not specifically, but I mean, to your point, we have been talking about what do we need to add? I mean, based on the feedback that we've gotten, that, yeah, I mean, there might have been some lighting on the exterior. I also know that there was a little bit of concern that the lights didn't all match. Some of them were, either a light blue or blue, on the, yeah, so we'll, get all white lighting. I mean, so basically, I mean,
Was
we
it
have them
white
started.
on that tree and colors on our gazebo?
And then I'm talking about kind of the internal poles. There was some.
Oh,
they did
white
just-
and bright.
Yeah,
Right, or whatever.
Right, they weren't exactly.
Warm and white.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah,
So.
all the same.
Yeah, a bigger investment in lights so that, we can light up more of the interior of the square this year, but I don't know, anything else you want to add to that?
Well, we're looking for a lighted arch for people to come take pictures under. So that's something we're looking for that will fit up here. With
Here,
town square. So that we're gonna definitely add more garland. I'm gonna work with Jake because I definitely need to know what I can do up here. And he's gonna try to work with me to see if we can wrap some of the trees. To get the trees lit up some more, because there's a lot of trees up here, so. And then we have to pull up the garland to make sure. Because we bought new garland and that's the warm glow garland, so I want to make sure everything I buy has a warm glow, so we want to get everything to match. But I'm gonna work with him to make sure I have enough electric and we can actually do it, so.
okay. Did you have any specific ideas for winter activities or an investment in Christmas?
Yeah. Have we ever considered, like outside companies coming in? Cause I know like a lot of landscape companies will come and hang Christmas lights. I don't know if we have a services department to come hang them, or if that becomes an issue. I know, so there's a lot of companies out there who are,
Yeah.
you know.
I think for the time being, our service team's got the time to do it. They've also got the equipment to be able to do it with the lift trucks. So, until that changes, I think our team can do it. What we do need to do is get a little earlier start on it this year than we did last year. But I mean, we were ready to go by Christmas on the Square, but
We have, what was our wreath situation? Was it on all the windows or was it on windows on just the side? Do you remember?
yeah, we were talking through that. We'll ask our service team that for sure. Definitely add them on this side. I don't know that they wrapped the building. I think we ended up putting them on two stories on this side that face to Cherry Street. What we have learned though is unfortunately they have discontinued that wreath. So we're not going to try to, I think we're just going to try to figure out how to display the wreaths that we have. And again, then add other decorations elsewhere around the square. So, I think people generally, I mean, I thought they looked pretty good last year. I'm trying to remember exactly where they were. The other thought was, well, maybe if we can't put wreaths on all the windows, which was our original plan, that we would buy more wreaths each year to do that. I mean, we talked about maybe something, maybe the candle concept back in the windows here, because that's.
Yeah, I like
Time period.
a light because the wreaths weren't lit, right?
They were.
They weren't
They
lit.
were lit.
Were they lit? How were they?
They had a warm glow lights on them.
Okay.
Yeah, they, I can't believe we don't have a picture. Didn't anybody take a picture, did they?
I think I had a picture somewhere.
Those are
Really?
pictures. Somebody's got a picture. Yeah, I think when they first went up, we didn't have the lights on all the time, and then we did turn the lights on the wreaths all the time. So you may have seen it early when they weren't on. Yeah,
Yeah.
and remembering that part of it.
So we want to look at possibly getting more wreaths. Possibly, what do you mean by wrapping trees? Wrapping them with lights? Okay, so getting more lights. What was our color situation? We had white lights. Did we have white? We had colored lights.
So colored lights on the Christmas tree, and we didn't change that. So the year before we doubled up or whatever number, the number of lights on the tree. I don't think we bought any lights for the tree last year. No, we did. So colored lights on the tree, and then there were white lights elsewhere
Okay.
on the square.
But was there lights? I feel like there was lights, colored lights in the gazebo.
So there was interior, or in the interior, there was a wreath that had, I think, some colored lights in it. but the exterior lights on the gazebo were white.
Okay.
So what you could see, from the road was white. You had to get
Okay.
in to kind of look up to see colored lights.
Okay,
It's really nice having the trees in white and the tree multicolors, it really pops out.
Yeah.
I think New Albany does a really good Christmas display. Westerville does another good one. So they always look at the tree just pops out.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're working on it. If you got thoughts, let us know, but that's,
do you have any more thoughts on,
Or like an activity or
or just anything that you wanted to mention?
you can never have too many Christmas lights.
Well, we've already said Christmas lights.
Years ago, and I don't, before my time, and I don't know if it's even feasible or possible to do it this time anymore. But I guess for every few weekends during January or so, there used to be like an ice skating rink or something that old timers had talked about out on the square. I don't know if that's something that,
You
do
remember?
you remember
something like
seeing
that?
something like that
No,
or hearing about that?
no, but I didn't move up to this area till 1984, so it might have been
Might have
before
been
that.
before that.
Because Alan Rothenberg was talking about it one time. He was like, it was the coolest thing that we ever did as a city. Like, why did we quit doing it? But there could be a lot of reasons as to why we quit doing that.
well, not this year, but maybe.
Sometime way down the road.
Add that for
Like,
another year discussion. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, I will make a motion to adjourn. Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Neff. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
3 yeas, we are adjourned.